We are platform. We are Florida.
Gray skies above. But down below, roof is shut. AC's on, baseball's on. Phillies and Marlins open up a three-game series. The Marlins open up their final homestand of 2013. And the Fish coming off a long, long road trip and a long night last night. A split of their doubleheader last night in D.C. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Welcome to Miami. It's the last week of the season. It's at home. There are some Marlins that are looking for milestones. But I think for Mike Redmond, he'd just like to see his young ball club play a little better.
Yeah, I think if you're a player, too, you say, hey, we're facing a Cy Young Award winner, guy who's won 2 Cy Youngs tonight in the game. We're trying to prove ourselves maybe to win a job for next year. That's how you get yourself up for games like this.
I would expect Chuck Hernandez, Marlins pitching coach, in the pitchers meeting right now, well, probably moments ago, said, look, Chase Utley had 10 RBI the last time the Marlins faced the Phillies in Philly. Don't let him get near anything to hit tonight.
Yeah, don't hang anything. Don't leave anything out over the plate. But Chase Utley, in pretty much a full season, 146 career games against the Marlins, a .288 average, 27 home runs, and 108 RBIs. He had 10 of those RBIs in that series in Philadelphia with a couple of 3-run shots.
The Cy Young Award winner you're talking about has 2 of them. He's Roy Halladay. The Marlins just faced him, and he wasn't the same Roy Halladay that threw the perfect game against the Marlins years ago. But he still got him out, and he still knows how to pitch, even though he topped out around 87 miles an hour.
You know, he's 36. He had shoulder surgery, but he went 6 innings and gave up just 4 hits and the 1 run. Yeah, he's been an all-star 8 times. He is not the same pitcher. He doesn't throw with the same velocity, but he was able to keep the Marlin hitters off balance.
Velocity is the key word when you talk about Miami's starter. Nathan Eovaldi has the velocity, it's command, and it's the secondary pitch that he's working on.
He had a no decision in Philadelphia. The 23-year-old has the liveliest fastball around, but he's got to have those secondary pitches to have success. We'll watch for that tonight.
We are the most lively announcers around tonight as we're ready to go here. The Fish and the Phils. It's a 3-game series in Miami. And guess what? As we thought, he got the job. Impressive resume. Helped him get that job and some hard work in the minors. We'll explain when we return. to get us started. Let's head out to center field. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine. Gents.
Hi, Rich. Thank you very much. Good evening again, everybody. Quick turnaround time, more so for the Marlins. Phillies got here about 9 o'clock. Marlins probably didn't get home till at least to 4 in the morning for most. And here we go. And Ryne Sandberg is now the official new leader of the Phillies. When the Marlins played them last week, he was the interim manager. Not any longer. That changed yesterday.
Yeah, Hall of Famer, now the head skipper of the Philadelphia Phillies. You see his record so far this year, 18-17. I got a chance to play against Mr. Sandberg when he was with the Cubs. Very quiet guy. I mean, even on the field, you know, when you get to second base, you kind of say hello or something like that. Not a peep out of him, but very businesslike. He went about his business in a very methodical manner. Very consistent, solid player his whole career.
Andre Dawson played with him a long time, and Andre said, not known for being a loud guy himself, he said that Ryne made Andre look like Warren Cromartie. And we all know the Crow.
If you don't know Crow,
can yap with the best of them.
Yes, he can indeed. And Andre Dawson, I played with Andre as well, and I work with him as a special assistant, and he's a very quiet guy. So when he says that about Ryne, that's impressive.
But Sandberg, all the people around the Phillies will tell you, very good leadership, tactical, structured, get here at a certain time, early drills, maybe what they needed. We all love Charlie Manuel, and Charlie's going to go down, if not the best, one of the best in Phillies history. Sandberg brings a different approach.
Well, he kind of brings a managerial approach like his playing career. Very methodical, like you said, does stuff by the book, and I think a younger Phillies team is going to benefit from that.
Well, and good for him. He got a 3-year deal. As Rich and Tommy talked about last week, they thought that they would iron this deal out before the season, and they did. So here we go. Final homestand getting underway against the Phillies. It's the first of 3 coming up. It's a Doc Halladay, Nate Eovaldi matchup.
Let's go places by AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability 1-800-PICK-AT&T. Rethink possible. By Just for Men Mustache and Beard, and by Checkers. Feast on. Gorgeous shot as night falls around Miami. The Phillies and the Marlins ready to go. Here come the Phils. The fighting Phils trying to stay out of 4th place right now. The Mets have caught them. They're tied in the standings. J.M. Lexus brings you their lineup. Cesar Hernandez, switch hitting center fielder. Jimmy Rollins is hot, and so is Chase Utley. Carlos Ruiz hits cleanup. Dominic Brown is in left. Darren Ruff, slugger at first. Cody Ashe, good young player, At third base, Roger Bernardina is in right field. Bernardina, terrific glove out there. And Roy Halladay will hit ninth. Nathan Eovaldi makes his 17th start.
Well, the last time out, and this happens when you play a team, not quite back-to-back series, but you have pitchers matching up against the team in their next start. So the last time out for Nathan Eovaldi was in Philadelphia. Got a no decision. The Marlins won that game 4-3. He went 5 innings, gave up just 3 runs on 4 hits, but the walks got the pitch count up a little bit. He walked 4 in that game. And as we document always with Nathan Eovaldi, you watch to see how the secondary pitches are, the slider and the curveball. He always seems to have that lively fastball.
Cleveland Clinic brings you Miami's defense tonight.
There is Christian Yelich and Ruggiano and Stanton in the outfield. Echeverria and Solano up the middle. Polanco and Ed Lucas at the corners. And Jeff Mathis handles the 23-year-old Nathan Eovaldi.
Mike Redmond and the Fish, a split yesterday in D.C. Marlins winners in the first game. They beat Dan Herron 4-2. And the Nationals winners of the second game. Here come the Phils. It's a 3-game series. Cesar Hernandez will lead it off. Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley will follow. Hernandez getting playing time in center with Ben Revere out. And he had a nice series against the Fish. Marlins stopped in Philly on their tour, their 3-city tour through the East. Hernandez takes a strike, and it's 0-1. Hernandez had a couple of hits against Eovaldi in that start on Wednesday night. Hernandez would have 6 hits and score 5 runs in that 3-game series. One. That would be Ed Lucas over at first base.
That would be a good fastball. They really tied up Hernandez.
It's amazing sometimes when you see a team for a while and then they go away and you see them again and you are in disbelief as to what happened over the weekend. But the Phils were swept by the Mets after the Phils really played well against the Marlins. And the hot hitters that the Marlins saw, some of them actually stayed hot in that Mets series. Rollins is one, Utley another. Rollins has hit in 8 straight. His average close to 400 over that span. Dale Scott calls a strike. Todd Tichenor, Jordan Baker, C.B. Buckner.
And by the way, called a strike on a nice curveball. Another one.
So he drops a couple across.
Boy, as a hitter, when you know he has that 98-mile-an-hour fastball, that really gets you thinking.
Rollins had 6 hits in that series and scored 4 runs.
And then you try to figure things out. The Marlins are 11-8 against the Mets this year. They come into this series 5-11 against the Phillies, and another terrific curveball from Nathan Eovaldi.
And Rollins tried to back foot it. He really spun on it and missed it.
Good job by Jeff Mathis to stay with it. Put the tag on Rollins just in case.
All right, here is Utley. We documented the damage Utley did in the series up in Philly with the 10 RBIs, the 2 homers. Both homers were of the 3-run variety. $125 games for Utley, and for the Phillies and their fans to see Utley finish this strong has to give them a little bit of relief from the concern moving forward with a guy that just signed a contract extension. Utley slugging close to 500. He's 481.
I think it has to make him feel good too about finishing the year on a healthy note as he prepares and gets ready for next year.
1-1 fastball tied him up as well, and Solano throws him out, and Eovaldi goes 1-2-3 in the first. first. Scoreless, Phillies and Fish. And here are the Marlins tonight. J.M. Lexus brings you the starting lineup. Donovan Solano is hot. So is Ed Lucas. Christian Yelich in left. Giancarlo Stanton in right. Justin Rucciano homered last night. He's in center. Placido Polanco gets a start at third base. Adeiny Echeverria at short. Jeff Mathis hits 8th. And Nathan Eovaldi is in the 9th spot.
Well, we saw him last week, the 36-year-old veteran. Roy Halladay, who had shoulder surgery on May 7th. He's trying to come back from that. He wants to finish with a few starts. And for Halladay, in watching him in Philadelphia, we certainly didn't see the bite with the breaking ball. We didn't see the velocity in the 92 to 94 range. He was more in the upper 80s, but he still knows how to pitch. And he was able to beat the Marlins in that game in his 6 innings that he worked. Gave up just 1 run.
Donovan Solano, a 6-game hit streak. Finished the road trip strong. And Halladay misses out. Solano in that ball game against Halladay had a couple of hits, a single and a double.
Rich, I think one of the other things we saw in Halladay is his inability to not attack the way he did when he had the better stuff. He was deeper in counts. He walked a few in that ball game. He walked 3 and had just 2 strikeouts.
He pitched like a right-handed Tom Glavine. You know, a guy that had some movement, that was picking at the corners, that would change speeds on you. And his fastball goes all the way to the screen. And at times, he really didn't have control, which is odd to say about Halladay, who always has had control. Go the Phillies defensively. Cleveland Clinic, Florida brings it to you.
And we saw this defense at Citizens Bank Park. A little more room, a little more territory to cover here. Dominic Brown and Hernandez and Bernardina. Good speed in Hernandez and Bernardina without question. Cody Ashe, Darren Ruff, a couple of young players at the corners. Rollins and Utley. They've been together a long time. And Carlos Ruiz behind the plate.
And Lucas now. And Halladay misses in. And watching Halladay up in Philly, he topped out at 87, excuse me. And he looks a few ticks slower even tonight.
How many times, if ever, have we ever seen Roy Halladay miss as badly on a 3-0 pitch as he did to Donovan Solano to walk him?
Shoulder surgery is always tough in terms of velocity. And rarely do you see guys have shoulder surgery in the middle of the season and come back and pitch. But, of course, Halladay's workout regimen is legendary. His work ethic is off the charts. He's back and he's pitching. It was arthroscopic surgery, so it wasn't major shoulder surgery. But shoulder surgery is shoulder surgery. So to his credit, you know, a lot of guys could have shut it down the rest of the year, but he's worked his way back, taking his starts. But obviously he's not the same pitcher that he was even last year. Last year was not a great year for him.
Last year he spent time on the disabled list with a lat strain at 25 starts and had an ERA about 4.5.
He's been one of the great pitchers of his era. 203 wins, 104 losses, a slender ERA of 3.38, 8 times an All-Star, 2 Cy Young Awards. Christian Yelich. I think people forget that Halladay was not with the Phillies when they won the World Championship. Solano runs. Lucas fouls it back to the screen. With Halladay and Cliff Lee and Cole Hamels. You see a bit of a decline in the golden age of Phillies baseball. The division title run that they had, 5 consecutive National League East titles, was snapped last year. Solano running again, and Lucas tried to inside out the ball. It's popped right behind the bag at first. Utley, you can see Utley scheming there, trying to tell Ruff, hey, get to the bag and I'll try to flip it to you.
He's thinking double play.
He was. All right, let's scout Roy Halladay, this version of September 23rd here, 2013.
Same as Cy with a question mark. No, the fastball's more in the mid-80s range, and coming back from surgery of the shoulder isn't that easy. It's interesting you're talking about this ball club, the Phillies, Rich, and how in a way it's a changing of the guard somewhat. However, a few of those guards are making a lot of money.
That's right.
So it's hard to change.
And the guy probably making the most of a position players is not out there, Ryan Howard. Howard continues to rehab from a knee injury and is playing in, I guess, can you call it extended spring? Not really, in September. Instructional league?
It's kind of an instructional league. It's basically to get him on the field, get some at-bats and play, not to get him up here, but just to have him have a good feeling about his health.
Yelich sitting on a 2-0 pitch.
Christian Yelich had an infield base hit against Halladay in Philadelphia.
Yelich drove in a run last night in the nightcap. Giancarlo Stanton waits. And it's 3-0. Halladay walks Solano.
That was a nice doubleheader for Christian Yelich. He was 2 for 5 in the first game, 1 for 4 with that RBI in game 2.
Pitch number 5 of the at-bat coming up. Solano leading.
I'm with you, Rich. So far, his velocity's down from his last outing. He's topped out at 83.
It's really, I don't want to say it's hard to watch. It's just puzzling to watch. And that's down low, and so Yelich very patient. Yelich is getting a reputation of being a guy who knows the strike zone. And look at this. Since the 23rd of July, pitches per plate appearance, Votto and Chu have had an off the charts year, but look at Yelich. He's 3rd in the league.
That's good company right there.
Yeah, Matt Carpenter and then Giancarlo Stanton. There's the Randi Institute Fox Tracks. Rich Doobie, this may be the earliest Rich Doobie has ever come out for a Roy Halladay start, and Rich Doobie is motioning.
Yeah, I think he's seen that he's topped out at 83 miles an hour, and certainly has a concern, and they've called for Ryan Sandberg and the training staff to come out.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and say it is hard to watch because, I mean, we're used to watching Halladay at his very best. The perfect game in 2010, the no-hitter in the postseason, and he's a shadow of himself right now. To his credit, though, Tommy, he's tried to come back from the shoulder injury. He's taken the ball. Doesn't matter how much pain he's in or what kind of stuff he's in. He's gone out there to try to get out.
Sandberg's going to the bullpen. They're going to bring somebody in. And for a guy who's only the 5th pitcher to win the Cy Young in both leagues, along with Clemens, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, and Gaylord Perry.
Look at that. It's
hard to watch.
That was a great shot there of Sandberg looking into the eyes of Halladay. You can see that there's disdain right now from Halladay for 2 reasons. He doesn't want to come out of the game, and he's obviously frustrated that he's either injured or ineffective or has not built up the arm strength to come back. I mean, you wish that every pitcher in the big leagues had that same fire and that same determination and the same guts that Halladay has. You know, Halladay legendary for not wanting to be taken out of games late in games, and Charlie Manuel used to tell us that in the 8th inning when Halladay would come and sit on the bench, if Charlie would even look at Halladay's way, Halladay would scowl at him. And
well, all the complete games, 6 times he led the league in complete games.
Well, let's hope that in the offseason he's able to continue to work back to where he was, because he certainly is a treat for us to watch, and you hope that he's okay and that he's able to bounce back and get back to being Roy Halladay. Call to the bullpen at Metro PCS. Call to the pen. Marlins and Phils. Well, Roy Halladay has left the ball game after getting just an out and walking a pair of hitters, and so that changes things dramatically. You got Luis Garcia coming into the game, and Garcia probably the first in a long line of relievers that's going to try to bring this one home for the Phils.
Yeah, the Marlins saw a couple of innings from Garcia in Philadelphia out of the bullpen, but I would imagine Ryan Sandberg hopes to get a few more tonight than just the 2. We were talking between innings, Rich, as Garcia warms up, about the history of Roy Halladay and the Marlins. It's been a crazy history. When he was with the Blue Jays in Toronto, the Marlins knocked him out of a game literally with a hard shot back to the mound that hit his leg. He had to leave the game. Of course, he had the perfect game against the Marlins. This year he had what could be his worst outing of the year, a 14-2 loss. Gave up 9 runs in a game in Philadelphia. And then this outing here tonight.
Tomorrow night, Phils and Marlins right back here. And it's a 2 for Tuesday. Pick up the Tuesday edition of the Miami Herald. Take advantage of the final half-price Tuesday of the season. Get up to 8 half-price tickets in Legend Silver, Baseline Reserve, Bullpen Reserve, or Home Run Porch. Go to Marlins.com.
Now, if Garcia has gotten loose, the Marlins are going to see a little more velocity. He's in the low to mid 90s. Got a pretty good slider to go along with it.
Stant takes outside. We will, if the information is available, we will give you any medical information that we get from Phillies PR, the Phillies clubhouse, on Roy Halladay. But obviously something was wrong, and you expect that it's probably that shoulder. Breaking ball misses outside to Giancarlo Stanton.
Roy Halladay has been a great pitcher, and he's been a great example to teammates, to guys that have been around him.
Like I said, if every pitcher in the big leagues could just get a little piece of Roy Halladay inside him. Here's a 2-0 pitch. The fire and the guts. Yeah, he was able to sink it on both sides of the plate, but that persona that Halladay has worn through the big leagues for the last 16 years. Now Garcia is still looking for his first strike, and he walks Stanton on 3 pitches. Miami has a great opportunity here. They've got the bags loaded. Halladay has left. They're already into the bullpen. There's 1 out, and here's Ruggiano, who homered in the second game yesterday.
Good numbers for Ruggiano against the Phillies this year, too.
Infield's back. And it's 1-0. This was game 2. Game was not on television, but off Steven Strasburg, a line drive homer to left center field.
Davey Johnson, the Nationals manager, after the game, talking about Strasburg, saying everything he threw was belt high.
Finally a strike from somebody. Bases filled with Fish. Solano walked on 4 pitches. Yelich walked on 5 pitches. Stanton walked on 4 pitches. Stanton the first to face Garcia in relief of Halladay. And that's outside.
Right now as a hitter, you saw him miss badly with sliders to Stanton. You got a pretty good idea. 2-1. He doesn't want to go 3-1. That you're gonna see his fastball. That's what you have to be ready for. And he went off speed but missed. So you, as they say, you spit on that one and get the fastball here.
Spit in its general direction. But 3-1, you're right. He almost has to get the fastball.
He hasn't thrown his breaking ball for a strike, so he has to throw the fastball.
Bags loaded, 1 out. And he throws it down low. Ruggiano walks. So the Phillies, between Halladay and Garcia, have walked 4 hitters. Miami doesn't have a hit, but they have a run. What an odd start to this ball game. And here comes Polanco. The Phillies were playing much better under Ryne Sandberg when he was the interim manager. They lost that weekend series. They were swept by the Mets.
In this inning, Rich, between Roy Halladay and Luis Garcia, they've thrown 26 pitches and only 5 for strikes.
Just an odd line, too. I mean, the Marlins, a run, no hits. Phillies haven't committed an error. Lucas, the only out. He's popped out.
Now, the other oddity is that the first run and Yelich over third belonged to Halladay.
And none of the walks have been able to get to 2 strikes in there at bat. Dale Scott calls a strike. Polanco, tough to walk, tough to strike out. Philly infield with Utley and Rollins up the middle looking for a double play. Cody Ashe is deep at third, and so is Darren Ruff at first. One. That looks like 2. Utley, Rollins, and the Phils get the double play. Miami gets a run without a hit, and they leave a couple. bottom of the first kind of typified what the Marlins have been about offensively in 2013. They had 4 walks and then bounced into a double play and got just 1 run out of 4 walks.
Yeah, very frustrating. You're right. It kind of put everything in a nutshell is the way things have gone this year. The inability to string together hits, the inability to put together a few big innings and give your pitcher an early lead. Now, it is a lead for Eovaldi, but just a 1-run lead.
Nathan will take it, though. He's been one of the more under-supported starters in baseball this year, and even when he's had a big league uniform on. But away he goes at 94 with a strike. Carlos Ruiz, Dominic Brown, Darren Ruff. A breaking ball that misses outside. Ruiz, certainly a question mark as to where he might end up. Will it be back with the Phils? Stanton at the track. We've been told right arm fatigue from the clubhouse. Right arm fatigue.
I think, Rich, you hit on it when talking about how difficult it is. And most pitchers would have rehabbed the rest of this year. How difficult it is to come back from shoulder surgery, which Halladay had in May.
Breaking ball. That's in the air, and Yelich has plenty of room. He makes the catch. And Eovaldi pounding the strike zone, gets a couple quick outs here in the second. If you're watching this telecast from home, get on the internet, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We'll keep you up to date with the Marlins, all your other favorite Florida sports teams. The Rays got a James Loney home run to walk off and sweep the Orioles 5-4. Incredibly huge series for Tampa Bay. 5-4 win, and a down note.
Boy, a tough day for Baltimore, yeah.
Tough day for Baltimore, tough day for Manny Machado fans. Machado suffering a serious leg injury when he crossed the bag at first, running out a grounder, and was taken off the field in a cart.
Good to see, by the way, that Nathan Eovaldi, he has not lost anything with the long wait in between innings. He's still throwing his breaking ball well. Fastball is live. And he's gotten a couple of quick outs.
Darren Ruff. Power hitter. Has a good compact stroke. You know, a lot of homers in the minor leagues coming up. This is his 231st at bat. And he's popped 14 out with 10 doubles. Fouls that one at the plate. 97 miles an hour on the fastball.
Well, since his recall in early July, he's hit more home runs than any Philly. So you have a healthy Ryan Howard. Then you have to find a place if Ruff continues to hit for power. He's a right-handed bat, which they like. You have to find a place to put him. Home runs amongst rookies. Good breaking ball.
And Eovaldi has retired all 6 that he's faced. 1-0 Miami. Marlins on top of the Phils, bottom second in Miami tonight. First of a 3-game series. Last homestand, the Tigers will come rolling into town with their get ready for the playoffs review in full swing. Though the Tigers' lead is at 5 games over Cleveland. Cleveland holding on tight to that second wild card spot with the Rays sweep of Baltimore. Cleveland holding that second wild card spot. Texas is a game and a half behind the Indians going into the last week of the season. Echeverria lines one foul.
Now, Rich, by the way, the third of an inning from Roy Halladay, the shortest outing of his career. Previously, he pitched 2/3 of an inning way back against the Angels.
He had that short start against Miami when he was a Blue Jay. Was it Cody Ross that hit a liner off his shin? Liner, that one is just off the glove of Dominic Brown. Echeverria headed to second, and he'll pull up there with a double. Miami has their first hit, and it's a leadoff double here in the second.
You and I were talking to Ryan Sandberg about his outfield. There's a little slider that Echeverria takes care of. And one of the areas of improvement for next year, Sandberg told us, was to try to get that outfield defense shored up. And it's a little different, the defense in the outfield at Citizens Bank Park compared to here at Marlins Park. A lot more territory to cover in this ballpark.
Jeff Mathis now. Normally you think leadoff double, get him over, get him in, but the pitcher's on deck. So Mathis probably more concerned with trying to drive a ball in the outfield and score this run. Ruiz for the fastball for a strike. Mathis struggled on the road trip, 1 for 17 on the trip. And it's 1-2. If you're just tuning in and you're looking for Roy Halladay, right arm fatigue. Halladay leaving after 3 hitters. He walked a couple. He topped out 83.
83 through 16 pitches.
Evaldi's up next. Echeverria at second. And Mathis hits a liner, but it's right at Rollins. So he got a good piece of it. Rollins makes the catch, and here comes Evaldi.
Can't hit a ball any harder, and it's tough to direct the ball. That ball struck well by Mathis.
Told you that the Phillies and the Mets, yes, the Mets are tied for third in the East. The Mets have played well. They swept the Phils. And I think, we've discussed Manager of the Year candidates, I think Terry Collins deserves a few votes.
And I agree.
You talk to scouts around the game who watch Major League Baseball every night in person. They see different teams around the league. Will tell you that nobody gets more out of his team than Terry Collins. Evaldi with a count 1-0. Looking down at Joe Espada. You've got Solano on deck. Marlins have done a lot of things in this ball game, and yet they have just 1 run. They've drawn 4 walks in an inning. They've got a leadoff double, and yet it's just 1-0. Evaldi taps it back to the mound. Ruiz has got the runner and gets the out. Echeverria caught trying to go from second to third.
A heads-up play on the part of Garcia. He almost waited a little too long. Here's the pick. He looks, then he decides to throw. Echeverria takes a chance, and the tag's applied by Cody Ashe. So again, that's the way things have gone.
So a leadoff double is erased. Evaldi's at first, and Solano takes outside. This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. And I don't think the Marlins would give their consent for the first inning and a half of this one. Solano a one-hopper. Rollins backing up. He'll straighten up and throw him out at first in a frustrating second. A leadoff double, but no run. 1-0.
Healthcare of Florida. And SAP for Coventry Healthcare of Florida.
Nathan Eovaldi and the Fish have a 1-0 lead. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, thank you very much. You look at some of the ball clubs around Major League Baseball that have been able to turn it around in a year or two, and I think that gives some promise to some teams who've had struggling years. Maybe these two teams to think about turning it around and being in the mix in a year or two. Look at the American League stories there are right now, where three teams could be all headed to the postseason after having some rough years in recent times. You've got the Oakland A's, who only 2 years ago were 14 under. They have now won 2 straight AL West. Now they're talking in Oakland about not just winning the title, but advancing in the playoffs. Boston, a disastrous year last year with 69 wins. They won the AL East title. And Cleveland, 68-94 last season. Right now among the wild card leaders. Tampa Bay has an edge on them of 1 game with 6 to go, but Cleveland's got a very good shot at going to postseason play. So it can happen for teams, and certainly the Marlins and Phillies would love to be the stories people are talking about in a year from now, turning it around quickly. Sometimes some magic, things can happen, especially with that extra wild card. Guys, we've seen a lot of these celebrations from teams. I don't think the team that makes the wild card should be celebrating just yet anymore. What do you think about that?
I agree. I think they ought to just be happy that they're getting an opportunity to move on. Then maybe you can celebrate.
Yeah, it's a 1-game deal. You win that one, go celebrate.
Cody Ashe cranks one to center field. Ruggiano is back, and he's under it, and he makes catch. And Nathan Eovaldi been throwing strikes and getting quick outs. He's punched out 2. He's retired all 7 that he's faced. Well, the desire to avoid that one-game trap, so to speak, of great importance to a team like the Braves that experienced it firsthand last year. They had home field advantage in the wild card game, and it didn't mean much. Yelich didn't get to the ball, and he avoids a crash with the wall.
Well, the Braves took care of things this year.
The Rangers were the home field in the American League wild card game last year, and they were beaten by Baltimore. Thumped by Baltimore. And that, of course, was after they collapsed under the weight of Oakland's great rush to finish last year. Breaking ball in the dirt.
2 guys will get 2 more starts. Eovaldi, he'll get another start, so that's 2. And Henderson Alvarez, who's pitching tomorrow night, will also pitch over the weekend, probably the last game of the season. These are 2 guys, remember, at the beginning of the year, were on the disabled list. So as far as innings go, they're both in good shape.
And you see around baseball, the Mets have shut down Zach Wheeler. Saw the note where Matt Harvey may pitch in the Fall League.
Well, he's made the decision to try to rehab
into right field. Stanton picks it up.
As opposed to having surgery.
Well, you might as well find out in the fall if he's going to be able to rehab it rather than have surgery, then wait till next spring, I guess. Bernardino with a base hit. First hit for the Phils. All right, Tommy, get your iPhone ready. It's the AT&T U-verse Twitter poll. Jim Leland, it's unfair for American League team headed to the postseason to finish the season in a National League city. Hashtag Jim's right, hashtag Jim's wrong. We discussed this the other night, and the chief complaint for Leland is that he's got a team that's getting ready for the postseason. He's already clinched, and the last thing he wants is his pitchers hitting and running the bases leading into the division series or the championship series. But of course, if he gets the World Series and the game's in the National League parks, the pitcher's going to have to do that anyways.
That's a different thing.
Yep.
And I think the other thing he's concerned about is not being able to get all of his hitters in games, his designated hitter. And who knows, I'm sure if he were in an American League city, I'm sure one of those games he'd have Miguel Cabrera DH. Because he's nursing that growing injury, the hip injury that he's had.
It's a great point in that for him it's a chance to rest a guy while getting him 3 at-bats, keeping him sharp. Then again, if you're a National League manager, you don't even think about it. I know the other American League managers going into the postseason
have... On the other hand, if you're a National League team finishing in an American League city and you've clinched it, allows you to get one of your hitters some extra ABs, get him ready for postseason. So that would be the argument the other side.
Of course, here's the, and it goes back to the story that Craig just had about the worst to first. How do you predict who's going to be in the postseason when you make the schedule out? And the schedule for next year is already out. It's already been made. So there's no way you can avoid it.
Yeah, I think the bottom line, you can make your comments as Jim Leland has, but you just have to live with it as he will.
With that gruff.
One of our favorites, Jim Leland.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the other thing I've heard a lot about too, you hear about with the races going on, and I've heard a lot of people say, well, Cleveland, they've got a great schedule this last week or so. But you know what? The other teams in that division played those same teams. And they had that opportunity, too, at some time during the year.
To beat up on Houston. In
yeah,
fact,
it just happens for Cleveland that it's the end of the year.
In fact, the team that's chasing Cleveland, guess who Texas is playing tonight? Houston. By the way, the Reds have a 2-0 lead over the Mets. That's bottom of the second, so the Reds, for them, an important game as they still try to sort out who's who in the National League wild card. A little closer play there. Joey Votto. All right, some have complained that Votto walks too much, doesn't drive in any runs. Votto tonight, in 2 plate appearances, has walked twice, but it looks like he's walked with the bases loaded, so he did drive in a run. Strike to Cesar Hernandez.
Have they had to use Billy Hamilton yet?
No.
Started and stole a couple of bases last night.
But, it's fun to see Dusty Baker get him into the starting lineup, because they may not have Shin-Soo Choo next year. He's a free agent.
Pretty good chance they won't have him.
And 2. Eovaldi taking a peek over his shoulder at Roger Bernardino, away from first. Hernandez, the switch hitting center fielder, a converted second baseman, who played in the minor leagues for Ryne Sandberg. And this year, as soon as Utley signed his extension, the Phillies put him out in center field. And Sandberg told us before the ball game they see him as, if he can play the outfield, and it looks like he will be able to, as a guy that can play all over the field. And especially with an old team, you would think a guy like that next year would get a lot of at-bats.
And you mentioned early on he's getting the opportunity now because of the injury to Ben Revere, who in a perfect world will be their center fielder.
Rollins and Utley will both be 35 next year. Howard will be 34. If Ruiz comes back, and obviously that's a question, he'll be 35 himself. Breaking ball, and Eovaldi gets the strikeout. Phil's finally get a hit, but Eovaldi strands that runner. Nathan has punched out 4 in 3. Bottom of the third. Marlins and Phillies end this series on Wednesday. It's the final Kids Eat Free Wednesday night of the season. 7:10 start. All kids get a voucher for a free KM Beef Frank, a bag of Frito-Lay chips, small Pepsi, or Aquafina water. Get your tickets at marlins.com.
A couple of left-handers on Wednesday night. Cole Hamels and Brad Hand.
Ed Lucas, Christian Yelich, Giancarlo Stanton in the bottom of the third. Luis Garcia is out there right now. Garcia misses in. Roy Halladay faced 3 hitters, walked 2 of them, and left with the right arm fatigue. Lucas, you just can't keep Ed Lucas down, can you?
You just can't get in there with a fastball. He fights it off.
He had a great road trip. He had 389 on the road trip.
Yeah, Garcia tried to move that fastball in. Ed stays inside the ball, just boops it over the head of Utley. You see the right fielder, Bernardina, not playing very deep.
You know, Lucas will hit balls like this, and it will frustrate pitchers, and so the Sky Report is pound him in even more. And then he'll turn on a ball and hit it 400 feet for a home run. We've seen him do that a couple times.
That's called adjusting and thinking.
I think the coolest part about the Ed Lucas story this year is that he finally gets to pay off his student loans for Dartmouth. Finally getting to the big leagues. And getting, what, 3/4 of a season worth of big league paychecks.
And all of his Dartmouth classmates get to watch him play in the major leagues.
He, like a lot of his classmates, could have taken his degree and gone on and made a very nice living.
Maybe an MBA.
Pretty quickly out of the chute, but instead he chased his major league dreams.
It was a lot longer chase than he expected, but he stayed with it.
Yeah, to his credit, he did. High chopper, that's going to get through for Yelich. Lucas will stop at second. And Miami opens with 2 hits. All right, this has been a frustrating night for the Fish, even though they're up 1-0. If you just happen by, the Marlins actually walked 4 times in the first 5 hitters in the first inning and got a single run out of it. They had a leadoff double in the second and didn't score that run. In fact, that runner got thrown out at third base. Now they have a pair of hits to open the third with Stanton and Ruggiano up. So you'd think something would have to happen here soon that would provide a few more runs.
We talked about Lucas, how he goes the other way, stays inside the ball. Stanton's up there now. I love watching Yelich take advantage of that hole on the right side. We see Yelich shoot balls to left field once in a while. That time he just turned on the ball, was able to sneak it through first and second.
High fastball, Stanton went after it.
7 of the first 12 batters in this game for the Marlins have reached base.
And 1 has scored.
1 has scored.
Right at the knees.
See if he comes back with that or if he goes upstairs with his fastball again.
Now Ruiz wants to make sure that he and Garcia are on the same page. 1-2. He just threw him a fastball and Stanton missed it.
That's the page that he was trying to get on with Chooch. Do we go breaking ball or do we stay up? See the fastball at target up? Let's go up with the fastball. They saw Stanton swing and miss at one earlier in the count, and they went right back there.
And you notice how Ruiz didn't go up until Garcia was in his windup and just about coming to the plate, and that's to avoid anyone giving location and pitch. Tapper towards third. Ashe flips to first. Because when a catcher goes up like that, and you see it often, you know it's a fastball. He doesn't go up for a breaking ball.
And out of the corner of your eye, you're not peeking as a hitter, but you can feel that, you can hear that. So yeah, he didn't want to give it away too soon. So he's in the crouch. He's in the crouch. Okay, now he goes up, but Garcia about ready to deliver.
At that point, there's no time for Lucas, the runner at second, or either of the base coaches or anybody from the dugout to give Stanton any verbal cue or sign that allows him to prepare for a fastball. At that point, he's on his own. Ruiz had it in the webbing of his glove. Whether that was a decoy or he just didn't know where it was, I'm not sure.
With Ruiz back there, I'm going decoy.
Trying to get the runner to start towards the plate. Now Lucas and Yelich opened the inning with singles. Now there are 2 outs and they're still out there. Polanco takes in. Now the count 2-1. Reds still lead the Mets 2-0. Phillies would like a win and a Mets loss to get the Mets off their back, so to speak. Mets and the Phils share third place in the East. The Braves are trailing Milwaukee 1-0. Atlanta at 92 wins to open play tonight.
Now they have Jason Hayward back in there. They're just happy to have him playing center and hitting in that leadoff spot.
Cardinals have the Nationals tonight. Polanco swings and misses, and it's 2-2. It'll be interesting to see how Busch Stadium looks. They had a college football game there a few days ago, and apparently it rained the day before, and the field was really torn up.
So unable to have the tarp on the field because of the football game.
Yeah. And there was a football game.
Yeah. And I'm sure most of it took place right around the infield.
Cardinals at 91 wins coming in as the Cardinals and the Braves jockey for home field advantage in the postseason. Polanco pops it softly foul and out of play. Meanwhile, the Pirates have a 1-0 lead in Chicago. That's top of the first. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are both 2 out behind St. Louis, as they both scramble for home field advantage in the wild card game and try to overtake St. Louis in this last week and maybe win the division. 2-2. It's a foul ball.
It was nice in Philadelphia, the response that Polanco got and the applause he received from the Philly fans when he was announced. Appreciating his time as a Philly.
Boston has won the East. They're at 95 wins. Oakland has won the West. They're at 93 wins. Oakland is on the road against the Angels tonight. Garcia. 2-2 pitch coming. And another pop-up. Well, the Marlins were supposed to face Roy Halladay, and they did, at least for 3 hitters. Halladay never threw harder than 83, and you could tell mechanics stuff. He just wasn't himself. Rich Doobie, who has seen him pitch obviously every game for the last 4 years, went out, turned around, called Ryan Sandberg and the trainer out, and they took him out with right arm fatigue. Garcia has come in. This is his 3rd inning of work. 2-2. It's up, and it's 3-2. And for Sandberg and the Phils, it's one of those games where they look up at the scoreboard and think, my goodness. Let's see, the Phils have walked 4. They've given up 3 hits. The Marlins have had leadoff runners aboard in every inning. Yet it's just 1-0. It's out, and Polanco earns a walk.
I remember that stretch the Marlins had about a month ago, and it was finally broken. 30 some walks that had not scored. Just one of the walks so far has scored here tonight.
Joe Savory in the Phillies pen. Third walk for Garcia. Echeverria doubled to left in the 2nd.
All of a sudden missing up with a lot of his fastballs.
Well, you've got Echeverria, who has not walked a whole lot. He's only walked 28 times in 522 at bats. Big swing. 1-1. See what he gets. 1-1. A breaking ball. 1-2.
Now, if the scouting report is out there, and I'm sure it is, the Phillies know they don't have to get close to the plate with the count 1-2. However, they saw Echeverria hit one of those grand slams and have his biggest offensive game against the Phillies in Philadelphia. That was earlier this year.
Also had a grand slam in Chicago. Tapper to third. Ashe across the diamond, and Miami leaves them loaded. My goodness. So the Marlins have the lead, but are frustrated so far. This is just the fourth inning, but Nathan Eovaldi has kept the Phils off the scoreboard, giving up just one hit. Marlins Live driven by the South Florida Honda dealers. That set literally levitates once the season is over, and it will hover around Marlins Park tomorrow 6:30. That's when Jeff and Craig will be on the spaceship out there in center field.
I thought that set, Rich, was transformed into Jeff Conine's man cave for the off season.
That wouldn't surprise me because you know, Conine being the Iron Man, you would expect a man cave made of steel.
He has a little well, it's not little, cardboard figure of Craig sitting there, and
just like that commercial, that Phillies commercial with Halladay and Chooch. Was that like 2-3 years ago?
Yeah.
In the offseason after Halladay won the Cy Young. Eovaldi misses down low, and Nathan Eovaldi has fallen behind Jimmy Rollins. Rollins, Utley, Ruiz in the fourth in a ball game that you've seen the Marlins score a run but come up empty on a lot of opportunities. Rollins went down swinging on a nasty Eovaldi breaking ball in the first. Nathan has struck out 4. The one hit, Roger Bernardina single. That's a foul ball. Lucas picked it up in foul territory, didn't cross over the bag.
Jimmy Rollins, as I think you were mentioning this in Philly last week, has been relatively healthy. 154 games he's played this year. 10th year, not consecutively, but 10th year in his career that he's played 150 or more games.
Yeah, last year 156, but that was the most he played in since all the way back in 2009. So 10 and 11 were injury-filled years for him. Lucas backs up. Eovaldi, a good athlete, is over there quickly.
I'll tell you what, a first baseman loves it when that pitcher gets off the mound and gets over quickly the way Eovaldi did there. You know you have that nice target. And you know Eovaldi's going to be there in time. So there's the nice target. Eovaldi's there.
Fell behind 3-0. Gets Rollins. Now Utley with Ruiz right behind him. As much money as the Phils have spent on this team, their payroll is close to $160 million. It sounds as if there's more on the way. The Phils are close to signing a new television deal within the next year and a half, which should bring them a sizable increase. And most teams, in fact, every team that has had a new TV deal has seen that.
They have to make a decision as Savory continues to throw. They have to make a decision on Ruiz.
He's been such an important part of their success. Not the headliner. He's not Utley, Howard, even Rollins. But I think true Philly fans know his worth. No pun intended. Here's the 2-1. And it's out. I would expect if you pulled Lee, Halladay, Hamels, Kendrick, they would gladly raise their hand and say, yeah, bring him back. Lucas has it, steps on the bag. Of course, at that age, for that position, there's a lot of question marks as to whether he can stay healthy.
Well, Eovaldi just continues to make nice pitches, and it's good to see. You would have loved to have seen him have a little bigger lead, but he's working well with a 1-run lead.
Well, as I mentioned, since he entered the major leagues, and Eovaldi got to the big leagues in 2011, of course, with the Dodgers, his average runs per 9 innings is just 2.96 in terms of support. That's the lowest in the big leagues for any pitcher with at least 44 starts from that starting point. Polanco, Gold Glover at third, and a 1-2-3 fourth for the Bills. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Honda. By Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. And by Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 in theaters September 27th. With so many unanswered questions after the first, Tommy.
You always hope the sequel is as good as the first one.
Joe Savory, as we expected, a line of relievers to try to get the Phils through this. Roy Halladay faced just 3 hitters before leaving with right arm fatigue.
Well, and the interesting thing about this and it changes things in September as the Phillies and as Sandberg looks to tomorrow night. Kind of figured that would be a little bit of a bullpen game as well. Phillies have Zach Minor pitching, who we saw in Philadelphia, and he was limited to 60-65 pitches and only gave him 3 innings. Sure, he's going to go a little bit longer than that. The Marlins will have Henderson Alvarez.
Mathis fouls it back. Out of play. Mathis, Eovaldi, Solano, bottom 4. Miami has left 6. Marlins have drawn 5 walks. 4 of them were in the same inning. Only 1 of the 5 walks has scored. Leadoff double in the second. Didn't advance to third.
And the irony of that is that walk scored on a walk.
Singles to lead off the third, and neither of those runs scored. There's only so much you can do as a manager, and I think that's probably been the most frustrating thing for Mike Redmond this year. It's his first year managing. You want to be able to manage games and move pieces and start runners. But in a rebuilding year with a young roster, a roster that had a couple of big holes in it with injuries with Stanton and Morrison to start the year. Rarely has Redmond been in a position to run or to move the pieces. Mathis swings and misses. Now Evaldi bounced into a fielder's choice. Nationals a 2-0 lead over the Cardinals.
Yeah, they got a 2-run homer from Jason Worth off Adam Wainwright.
You selected a National League MVP yet?
I still have my top 2 in no particular order. I would go with McCutchen and Freeman. Even though Goldschmidt has had a solid year, Paul Goldschmidt with Arizona.
Evaldi goes down. How about Matt Carpenter of the Cardinals?
He's up there.
He leads in runs and hits. Yeah, I like the McCutchen call.
And I think if push came to shove, that would be my pick. But I mean, Freddie Freeman, another big home run yesterday for the Braves. Hitting .314, 23 home runs, 105 RBIs.
You know who's starting to get some love for American League MVP is Oakland third baseman Josh Donaldson, because his defensive metrics are so good and his offensive numbers are good as well. He's had a ton of big hits and heroic moments.
But it's like in a big heavyweight bout, when you go up against the champ, tough to win a split decision. You got to knock him out. And when you go up against Miguel Cabrera, tough to knock Mickey out. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm just picturing some. Yeah, it does.
And then you have Mike Trout. You and I talked about Trout the other night. What another incredible year he's having.
The thing that Trout has and that Donaldson have that Cabrera doesn't have are better defensive numbers. Those rarely show up in MVP voting. But I think little by little they're starting to trickle in. Rollins, it's a nice play by a guy who won a Gold Glove.
And where would the Orioles be without Chris Davis?
Good point. Roy Halladay, just 3 hitters, right arm fatigue. The Marlins have had great opportunities that have slipped through their fingers. It's still a 1-0 lead. Time now for the Just for Men Mustache and Beard Play Like a Champ profile. On base percentage for the fish, Giancarlo Stanton over 400 in home games. Breaking ball misses outside. I don't know that you'll find an offensive statistic that is all that kind to the Marlins here in 2013. Their strength has been young pitching. Bullpen's been good. Defense has been much better in 2012. The Marlins enter play tonight 7th in the National League in fielding percentage, a marked improvement from years past.
I think a part of that is the guy you just saw make that play, Donovan Solano, and another big part of that is over there on the bench,
and
Perry Hill.
And Perry Hill told us on the road trip he feels like Solano now should be considered one of the top 3 or 4 defensive second basemen in the league. He's that proud of him. That went into the seats. And Hill, quite honestly, told us early in the season that that was not the case, that Solano had a lot of work to do. Well, if you're going to come to the game and bring a glove, bring a big one so you can steal it from your buddy.
Yeah, backhand grab.
Darren Ruff fouls it back. Miami's ERA sits at 3.81. That's 7th in the National League.
Well, the point is, and it's been discussed a lot, that everything's pretty respectable when you talk about the ERA and the fielding. It's the offensive numbers that have just been historically poor for this franchise.
Polanco gets a running start at that one and throws out Ruff.
You got a sure-handed veteran like Placido Polanco, who on the year has committed just 2 errors. Polanco playing in his 114th game. Oh, the ground ball outs. The outs like that, quick ones, keep the pitch count down. Just 60 for Eovaldi.
Now Kobayashi. Not Kobayashi, the hot dog eater. Or Kobayashi Maru, which was the unsolvable riddle in Star Trek, right?
Speaking of hot dogs, we had a nice delivery to the booth.
I thought you were going Star Trek on me. Instead, you're...
No, I'm changing it over to food. Nice delivery. The folks at Burger 305, when the Phillies are in town, they make a great cheesesteak, and it came by with some nice samples of delicious cheesesteak. Excuse me. Cheesecake would sound good after the cheesesteak.
Bust right through your diet. But why not? There's just a week left.
Hey, a week left. A little more continuity starting next Monday.
Ashe walks.
Just the first walk issued by Eovaldi.
Just got a peek at the field in St. Louis. Actually looks pretty good. Looks like they've done a nice job repairing it from that college football game this weekend. Bernardino fouls it off. He wears the iconic wooden cap out of Curacao, nicknamed the Shark. Wasn't that group called the Sharkadinas in Washington?
Yeah, they had little shark headgear.
Not to be confused with Sharknado.
Or the unicorn headgear we saw.
We did see that in D.C. Polanco makes the catch. And Nathan Eovaldi is shutting out the Phils.
Fernandez Dental.
It's a 1-0 ball game. Miami is on top of the Phillies. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig.
All right, thank you very much, Rich. You guys were talking about the offensive woes here. No question, anybody who's watched the Marlins this year, a real big bullseye on the offense. And this game is really a symbol of the season. They've had many chances to get that big hit. It's just been elusive all year. And the bottom line numbers show it better than any. The Marlins are averaging an historic worst 3.2 runs per game. How historic? The lowest total since 2010. The Mariners by year. You have to go back to the 81 Jays for a less than 3.2 total. That's 3.10 for the Jays. As Lucas, it's the sharp grounder as she handles it. And then after that, you have to go back to the 70s, the early 70s, to a lousy Padres team. The Brewers, the California Angels in 72. So if you go back a period of over 40 years, this is the third worst offense runs per game wise in a long time. And that's something at least the Marlins in the offseason will have a little easier time addressing in terms of what the problem is. The question is, what are the solutions? Guys, yes, maybe you'll get a little bit better. Will there be some guys playing for other teams? Free agents? We'll see what the Marlins plan to do, but they certainly will know one spot to look at with a big highlight. Guys?
Yeah, those 72 Padre team had Enzo Hernandez and Johnny Grubb.
Was Nate Colbert on the team?
Nate Colbert might have been there, yeah.
Johnny Grubb.
Maybe Cito Gaston, too.
That's going to be the real juggling act in the offseason is, as Craig pointed out, your options for adding offense. You can do it by trading to get it.
And the mistake you can't make is that you think all these young guys are going to get better and they're going to be the offense next year.
Yelich bangs one foul.
Hey, good news, by the way. Saw during batting practice, saw Marcell Ozuna taking BP on the field. So.
That is good news because if he's able to have the type of start that he had, make the team in spring training, he's a very nice offensive piece. You know, Ozuna struggled mightily, and the Marlins were on the cusp of sending him down when he broke that hand. He was still hitting .265 with 17 doubles.
He had yet to show the power that he's shown in the minor leagues, but I think most that have seen him play feel, okay, that'll come. There's no question that'll come. He showed a terrific ability to play the outfield, be it right field or center field.
I think that's going to be a key for Ozuna in spring training. Strike three called is to come into camp in the best shape that he can, because I think if he's going to win a spot, it's going to be in center field. And to play center field in this ballpark, you got to be able to go to gap. Now, a healthy Ozuna looked like he was able to do that. He's still young, so you're not quite sure how he's going to develop in terms of body type. Ryne Sandberg comes out, and he's got the lineup with him. That means double switch, and that means Joe Savory will pass the baton on to another reliever. And this is all because Roy Halladay left with right arm fatigue after facing just 3 hitters in the first inning. Metro PCS. It's a call to the bullpen. Bottom of the 5th. Odd for a lot of reasons. The fact that Roy Halladay lasted just 3 hitters. The fact that the Marlins have had a lot of opportunities and have been unable to score. Darren Ruff is going to move from first base out to right. Kevin Franzen, the versatile one, finds himself into the ball game at first. So Bernardina comes out, and Justin DeFreitas takes over for Joe Savory.
Trying to think, this past road trip, it was either Philadelphia or New York, that the number 9 spot in the batting order had about 14 different players. It was in Philly.
Franzen is now in that 9th spot. He'll lead off in the 6th. Bernardina out. Pitcher sits in the 8th spot for the Phils.
So when you have a couple of teams that aren't headed to postseason, the September games, the last week, sometimes they're like spring training games.
Well, Ryne Sandberg now has the job. And moving forward, the challenge for the Phils is to get back to winning. This is going to be the first losing season, under 500 season for the Phils since 2002. 71 and 84 right now. And so it's been a long time. And there were Larry Bowa years from 2002 on. 2002, Terry Francona's last year in Philly.
How many years was Charlie there? 8?
Charlie was there. This was his 9th, so 8 plus. I'm racing the crack staff to see if I can find it. Year by year finishes. 2001 was Larry Bowa's first year. Bowa was there 01, 02, 03, and part of 04. So
there was a little speculation. I heard this rumor when we were in Philadelphia. We actually saw Larry Bowa out at the ballpark talking to Ryan Sandberg. They were teammates in Chicago. But I heard a rumor that I don't know if he would come back. I think he really enjoys what he does with the Major League Network, MLB Network. But there was a rumor that Sandberg would maybe consider having Bowa on his coaching staff, who's done such a great job coaching for Joe Torre. Larry Bowa also with his experience as a manager. But just a rumor.
Ruggiano cranks one into left field, and that's a base hit. And so the Marlins have a couple runners aboard. I liked what Ray Knight told Craig Minervini a couple days ago. Actually, that whole trip has messed us up in terms of
we're
time.
having a hard time, yeah.
It was yesterday, right?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you. The nice ceremony for Davey Johnson. And Craig was interviewing Ray Knight, who coached for Johnson, played for him, certainly. And Ray Knight said Johnson called him and convinced him to come and join the coaching staff. Knight was doing television at the time, and Knight said, as an aside, it cost me a lot of money.
That might be the case with Larry Bowa.
And that's where I was headed. Polanco swings.
You know, coaching jobs just don't pay what those cushy studio jobs pay.
That's true. Now, Larry Bowa actually had success as a Phillies manager compared to previous Philly teams. Not necessarily compared to the run that the Phillies had with Charlie Manuel.
Did you find out when Tito's last year?
2000.
Oh, okay.
They were 65 and 97. Bowa took over in a huge turnaround, went 86 and 75. That losing season, they were just a game under, and they played a game short on the schedule, 80 and 81. But then 86 wins the next 2 years with Bowa as the skipper. Charlie Manuel took over in 2005, got to the postseason in 2007, won the World Series in 08, lost in the World Series in 09. And then would go on to win 97 and 102 games the next 2 years and win the East until last year's finish at an even 500, 81-81. DeFreitas. Slow roller. Rollins on to first in time, and Miami leaves 2 more. Fish have left 8. Lead at 1-0.
living it the way simple ladies still love my way. Something so phenomenal soon as I walk in the doorway. Yes, I got it, I'm a minute, every second, every minute, I can do this all day. Everything is smooth, flowing, singing, I got it. Then the light goes out, when the world shout and sing, I got it, I got it. If you feel the love, you got it.
This has kind of been a haphazard game so far, except for Nathan Eovaldi. He's been razor sharp and dialed in, and he has shut down the Phillies, shut them out so far on just one hit.
Throwing the ball the way he did in Atlanta back on September 1st.
Line drive finds Solano out at second. Kevin Franzen's first at bat.
Eovaldi in Atlanta, 8 innings, gave up 7 hits, no runs in a 7-0 win against the Braves.
FPL brings you the out-of-town scores in the National League. Bring you up to speed. Occasionally, Tommy, we do miss a cutoff man or forget to back up third base. All you can do is go to the next play or the next pitch. There you go. Reds 2-1 lead over the Mets. Pittsburgh on top of the Cubs. We've adjusted it for playoff implication games. Here we're going back to it.
All right, I want you to guess how Pittsburgh got that one run. Guy who's been real hot for him. Switch hitter. All right, switch hitter, second baseman.
Oh, Neil Walker. Ruggiano makes the catch on the track.
Seems like every time.
I was going to go Alvarez, but then the switch hitter thing threw me off.
Yeah, well, he's been hot too, but Neil Walker hit another home run, his 14th.
Tommy, did you know that Wednesday night is the last Wednesday home game? It's the last time you can use all those Chevron receipts you got stuffed under the seat in your car. Chevron Crazy 8 ticket offer. Just get those receipts, and you get $8 home run porch or $18 home plate box tickets. Visit your local Chevron or Marlins.com Chevron for details. Restrictions apply.
And prior to that, which would be tomorrow night, is our last email Twitter Tuesday of the year.
It is. I'm not sure if we have anything planned for the kids, but we probably should. I mean, it is the last one. Well, Allison Williams will be here. That's a start in the right direction. The social media Contessa. A-Dub looking good under the Friday night lights, Tommy Hutt.
Yes, that's right. In Fresno State.
Great place to call a ball game. Last time I did a game there,
it's a good game too.
I realized it's a municipal stadium, so they can sell beer.
Crowd did seem a little rowdy later on.
Yeah. It's not an easy place to play.
That pitch there is a pitch that Rollins struck out on in the first inning. That big curveball that he buried down and in.
Full count. Eovaldi looking for win number 4. Rollins pulls it foul.
I did my, I don't want to say daily, every couple of days, every 2-3 days, I do my Yasiel Puig checkup, who is in the 320s now, and after the All-Star break, he's played 60 games.
Line into the corner. Rollins hustling towards second. Stanton gets it in. Rollins has a 2-out double.
So Puig in the 60 games since the All-Star break is hitting a mere mortal 282. And in 20 games in September, he's hitting 227. So yes, he's cooled off some. I keep an eye on that because of the Rookie of the Year race.
That's what I was about to say. And not because Charlie Steiner gave you the Puig app for your iPhone, but because you want to see how Jose Fernandez chances are of winning that award. I think his chances are very, very good.
Rich, speaking of Jose Fernandez, another treat that we have for the kids on Wednesday night. From the dugout, Jose's going to be on headset, and we're going to have him for a whole inning. He's got to sit still, though.
Well, we also need to maybe get some security to sit next to him. Here's the 0-1. Because all the chattering that he's done to his teammates all year long.
It's their time to get back.
Wait till they see him with a headset on visiting with us. It'll be a shower of sunflower seeds, gum. He's got the catcher's glove on.
He kind of needs one of those plastic fences you see the workers have around them, you know, while we have him on headset.
He's bounced out a couple times. Eovaldi, 81 pitches in, with 2 outs here in the 6th.
What an incredible series Utley had in Philadelphia. 10 RBIs, a couple of 3-run homers. Since August 25th, he's hit near 500 with runners in scoring position.
Lucas on a knee to get it. Eovaldi races over and gets the out, and the Phils still don't have a run. 1-0 Miami. One nothing. That's why I've never announced racing. Right there.
Well, yeah, that's hard to do. The Crabs had a good year, though.
Not as good as Abe. I mean, Abe up in Washington was killing it. He had a terrific series.
Some all-star game, by the way. They need to get Abe, the bucket, the crab, one of the sausages. Chorizo. Have a big race at the all-star game.
I'll take the bucket. I'll take the bucket. Little Exmo look.
A little stiff arm, but I think you can get away with that if you're a crab.
It's encouraged in mascot races these days. Here's Adeiny Echeverria. And he takes a breaking ball for a strike. For the Phils, it's been a relay race themselves ever since the exit of Roy Halladay. Justin DeFreitas is the third reliever out of the bullpen, 4th pitcher overall. And Echeverria strokes a solid shot into center field, his second hit. That brings Jeff Mathis up. Another leadoff runner aboard. Not that it's helped the Marlins a whole lot in this ball game. The Marlins have stranded 8. They've had plenty of opportunities to add to this 1-0 lead. Thankfully, Nathan Eovaldi has been dynamite for the Fish, shutting out the Phils on just 2 hits.
This would be, Rich, one of those situations if you had confidence in Jeff Mathis to make contact, that given the count, you could think about a hit and run.
Managerial has 11 stolen bases. He's been caught 10 times. So that's another area of a Danny's game that next year you hope takes a step forward.
A little better ball strike selection. Maybe shorten the swing a little bit. And more knowledge in trying to steal bases.
Mathis with the count 1-2. Odd how all three pitches are in the strike zone, but it is 1-2. Umpires aren't perfect.
Now, do you think there would ever be a time in this game where the human element in the umpiring would be eliminated and electronically? You couldn't eliminate it at plays at bases. I mean, you could help with replays, but as far as balls and strikes.
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe not in 5 or 10 years, but 15, 20 down the line. I mean, look how far technology has come in the last 5 to 10 years. It was just like when I was 10 and went to Disney World, and they said in the year 1990, every city will have a people mover. That one didn't quite work out, but my point is this: as far as balls and strikes, the system that the umpires are judged on and that they judge themselves on is the system that you at home get to watch, the Fox tracks.
But who could you argue with?
Well, that's the point. You couldn't.
Well, now you're taking something out of the game.
I think you'd still need an umpire to do the check swings.
It's a good example. Yeah.
I got it. Ruiz to first in time, and Eovaldi drops down a nice bunt. I think so. I mean, I think in 10, 15 years, that technology that they have for Fox tracks or on other networks, it's called K-Zone or whatever else you want to call it. I think that will figure prominently in how they call balls and strikes.
So basically, it would eliminate Fox tracks. You wouldn't need it.
No, you'd have it.
Why would you need it?
Well, you get to watch it just to see where the location is.
But everything would be 100% correct. See, that's how it would look. Good job, by the way, by Nathan Eovaldi. Nicely done on that sac bunt. I was looking at the two pitchers on the Marlins staff that have the most sacrificed bunts. One of them, Jose Fernandez, with 7. Second on the list, Kevin Slowey with 5. So for Eovaldi, that was number 3 on the year for him.
Solano went around, and it's a strikeout for DeFreitas. Marlins leave another in scoring position. They've stranded 9 through 6. Nathan Eovaldi hanging on to a 1-0 lead. Miami, the Marlins have a 1-0 lead. Just 2 hits for the Phils. Nathan Eovaldi has been spectacular for the Fish. And he's going to get Carlos Ruiz, Dominic Brown, and Darren Ruff. Look at Dominic Brown. Ruiz will start it. Jimmy Rollins a double. Roger Bernardina a single. That's it for the Phillies. The Mets have tied the Reds 2-2.
Yeah, big 2-run homer by big lefty Lucas Duda.
And so, you know, if the Mets win that game, almost sounded like it hit them. And the Marlins win this game, the Mets have sole possession of 3rd place. Do they still give 3rd place money in the standings to teams? There was a time where 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place.
That's a good question. I know there was a time they did. I don't know if now with extra playoff teams if they just go down to 1st and 2nd place, but I'm not sure. They could.
Homework for tomorrow. Up the middle, Solano gets the out. Always nice to have Wendy stop by with our Wendy's Now That's Better. Dominic Brown for 3 seasons. Phils were hopeful that he would fulfill the promise that he had shown. The 2013 season, he did an all-star season, a great first half. Dominic Brown, Dade City, Florida, Pasco High School, before spending his senior year up in Georgia.
No, the tough part for Dominic Brown this year, he got off to an unbelievable start. He had 23 home runs first half of the season, but he's had some injuries. He had an Achilles, he had a concussion issue, and so the second half has not been at all like the first half for him.
That's into the gap. Yelich kind of stopped and then accelerated to make the catch.
When you have a ball, if you're in left field and a left-hander hits that ball, it's going to slice back to you a little bit. And I think he paused because he saw Ruggiano coming close. And Ruggiano can cover a lot of ground, but he wasn't going to get there.
If Yelich is the Marlins left fielder for the next 10 years, he's in a good spot because he covers a lot of ground. He's like a center field range-wise.
That's a good point.
Playing in left field in this park. I mean, you could get away in Cincinnati or Philly with an outfielder that doesn't have a whole lot of range. Remember, the Phillies had Pat Burrell parked in left field for a while.
You get away with that when you get 30 home runs, too.
That's a good point.
The thing about Yelich, he could not throw at all when he signed. He played first base in high school and worked with mechanics, worked in the minor leagues coming up, and now he has a decent arm. Saw Pat the Bat a couple of times this year, didn't we?
Yes, we did. That one's in the center field. Darren Ruff. I think that's maybe a role that the Phils are hoping Darren Ruff takes to and turns into a guy like Pat Burrell, a corner outfielder who can hit you 25, 30 home runs.
And I think the Phillies, Ryan Sandberg, would certainly take that.
I think he'll get every chance to win a job in spring training.
Pat Burrell doing some scouting.
I believe the Giants.
I think it's with the Giants. We saw him, I know the first time we saw him this year was in Arizona.
Ashe pops it up, etches out. In comes Yelich. And Yelich makes the catch. And tell you what, Nathan Eovaldi's been super tonight. 3-hit shutout going in Miami. From Duffy's Sports Grill. You can catch a ride to the game for $40. Get a lower level ticket, round trip motor coach transportation from Duffy's, and a $10 Duffy's gift card. The final Duffy's deal game of the season coming up Saturday against the Tigers at 7:10. Go to marlins.com/Duffy's. See, we play the music, they dance. Ethan Martin is the next in line. So the parade includes Halladay to start, Luis Garcia, Joe Savory, Justin DeFreitas, and now Ethan Martin. One and a third innings for DeFreitas.
Again, a lot of these pitchers we saw in that series in Philadelphia. We did see Ethan Martin.
Ed Lucas' single popped out, bounced out.
Just like to see the offense give Nathan Eovaldi a little bigger cushion.
I'm sure Nathan would agree with you, but he seems not to have been bothered by it so far. 7 shutout innings, 3 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts for Eovaldi, who's thrown 95 pitches. Lucas backs up. Luis Garcia threw 2 2/3. Joe Savory threw an inning and 2/3. DeFreitas an inning and a third. And Lucas strikes out. Chevron brings you not only South Beach, but also tomorrow's starters. Zach Miner going for the Phils, the pride of Palm Beach Gardens. Henderson Alvarez goes for the Fish.
Probably have a few fans making the trek down the Turnpike 95 from Palm Beach Gardens.
Just follow Tommy Hutton.
We'll make it in good time.
Yelich right through the 5-hole. Boy, he smoked that, and Martin never had a chance. Watch where this goes. I mean, this is right between the skates.
Or sometimes you want to stay back. You tell yourself, let me hit it right back at the pitcher. Well, that goes right between his legs. And for Christian Yelich, his second hit, he's 2 for 3. He's walked 1 time. Beautiful swings.
In super slow-mo. Look at the head right on it. Yelich at first. Stanton now goes after a breaking ball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
When you see that kind of swing, you always see excellent balance as well.
Pair walks in a strikeout for the big man. Martin zings in a fastball at 96 miles an hour. Is that one of the biggest differences in the game from, say, 15 years ago? Is that everybody out of the bullpen seemingly these days throws mid-90s at least?
Yes.
At least. That's 97 from Ethan Martin.
But regardless of 96 or 97, Stanton took 2 fastballs that were there. But yeah, I think 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you probably had more trickery out of the bullpen. More submariner guys, sinker guys. Splitter was just starting to come around. Now you just have a lot of hard throwers. And occasionally you get that funky delivery.
You seem to get more guys, to use your term, with trickery, or what does Lee Corso say, trickeration? Breaking ball and a stolen base. Yelich was a perfect 9 of 9 this year in stolen bases. So the kid can run. He's 2 for 3. He swiped a bag. Another man in scoring position.
Straight steal, heads down, and you know, sometimes you just pick the right pitch, and that time Martin dropped that slow curveball in, so he had a little extra time. 9 out of 9. Marlins tonight 0 for 8. Runners in scoring position.
To continue, more guys with splitters, change-ups, breaking balls in rotations than in bullpens, it seems. Because to be in a starting rotation, you generally need 3 pitches. And after fastball, there's only one way to go. Fastball in. It's like you don't see too many Bronson Arroyo types come out of the bullpen.
No, not with his delivery.
Or even a guy like Halladay. You don't see many of those guys come out of the bullpen. Halladay right now throwing 87. Utley calls for it, makes the catch, and the Marlins lead yet another in scoring position. Still lead it 1-0. Oh, Auto Nation brings it to you. And Tommy, here, I'm going to show you some offense here.
There it is. Ball 4. Tough for a lot of people to see. I'm sure Philly fans as well. A great pitcher like Roy Halladay leaving after just 16 pitches. And here it is. There's the bases loaded walk issued to Justin Ruggiano. That, my friends, has been the offense for this one tonight. But right there for Nathan Eovaldi, he has been absolutely outstanding. 3 hits, no runs in his 7 innings, just 1 walk.
And a big inning for Eovaldi here, and he faces Michael Martinez, who's pinch hitting in the pitcher's spot, 8th in the order. Mike Dunn in Miami's bullpen. And Eovaldi misses outside. Count 2-0. So Martinez, then Franzen, and then Cesar Hernandez, the switch hitting center fielder.
Earlier in the game, we talked about that outing that Eovaldi had in Atlanta. 8 innings, 8 shutout innings. 8 innings pitched is his career high. He's done it a couple of times. And he'd love to get through this 8th inning here.
And Eovaldi gets the first out of the 8th inning on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball at the letters that Martinez couldn't catch up to.
Well, sometimes you just say, all right, here's the heat. I still have it. Stayed up with it about letter high and threw it right on by Michael Martinez.
Now Kevin Franzen. Franzen came in the game. Ryan Sandberg has really had to mix and match with a host of relievers. 4 to be exact, after the short start by Halladay.
Sandberg wishing, Rick, excuse me, that he could go up there and maybe hit himself. Just a tremendous player, fielder, hitter, Gold Glover.
Breaking ball is fouled back.
And another one getting ready in that bullpen for the Phillies, B.J. Rosenberg.
Polanco, and Eovaldi has 2 outs here in the 8th.
He has been able to keep the same delivery, same release point for the fastball, for the curveball and slider all night. And that's why he's had success. And that's why at 23, you just love what Eovaldi has in his future, what he can do.
Well, when he throws, and you've said this all season long, when he throws the breaking ball for strikes and has command, then all of a sudden that 96, 97 is really hard to.
You don't see guys squaring up on it.
Get a barrel on it, and Eovaldi misses in. It's 2-0.
He's gotten 10 ground ball outs tonight, too.
Two and 1. Hernandez takes in. One of the things Hernandez has been able to do is get on base at a real nice clip. Rollins is on deck. Full count, 3-2. You know, Eovaldi looks a lot like Tom Kohler did yesterday in attacking the strike zone. Kohler picking up his 4th win. Was very aggressive against Washington in the first game of the doubleheader. And Eovaldi loses Hernandez, and so Jimmy Rollins is up. So is Chuck Hernandez. as he's on the phone. If you want to order food directly from your smartphone or upgrade your seats for today's game instantly from the palm of your hand, download the MLB.com at the ballpark mobile app. And you can check in through the app and earn free tickets. Download the free MLB.com at the ballpark app today.
Some I agree, some I don't. Leave him in there. Let him work his way out of it. Where are you going in the season? Just my opinion.
And Eovaldi on his way out into Metro PCS. Call to the pen. Night where the Marlins have left 10 on base. They gave Nathan Eovaldi 1 run in support. Eovaldi gets a couple outs here in the 8th inning. The walk to Hernandez. Now you got Jimmy Rollins, and with Mike Dunn coming in, and they'll flip Rollins around right-handed.
And the pitch count not out of whack, just 109 for Eovaldi. And you know what? Even if Mike Dunn gets out of this, and I certainly hope he does, and flips Rollins over to the other side. Rollins, I know, doubled his last time up. Those are the things Mike Redmond is factoring in. Even so, personally, I would like to see a young pitcher grow, get through the inning, and know what it feels like to do that, to work out of a little jam late in a game.
Well, here's Rollins, and behind him is Utley. Dunn opens up with a strike. Rollins from the right side, a 261 average. 153 at bats from this side of the plate, 418 from the other side. Oh and 2. Chad Qualls. Certainly you would expect Steve Cishek in the 9th if this 1-0 lead holds up. In the air, right center field. Ruggiano and Stanton, and it's Ruggiano who makes the catch. And Dunn gets out of it. The lead holds to the bottom of the 8th, 1-0 Fish. And the Fish trying to get a win here to open this series against the Phils, open up the final homestand of the season. B.J. Rosenberg out of the Phillies pen, so the Phillies have had to piece it together. This is reliever number 5 on the night after the very short start by Roy Halladay, who left with fatigue in his right arm.
Well, and Steve Cishek, as he gets loose, will have to deal with hitters 3, 4, and 5, Utley, Ruiz, and Dominic Brown.
Breaking ball, a strike to Polanco. Miami has 6 hits. They've left 10 on base. Steve Cishek, by the way, gets Utley, Ruiz, and Brown. Nationals and Cardinals are tied 2-2 in the 5th in St. Louis. With Adam Wainwright on the mound for St. Louis. Atlanta getting trounced by Milwaukee 5-0. And that game just finished in Atlanta. Braves shut out on just 3 hits. Interesting to watch the lineup for Atlanta for this last week, just to see if Freddie Gonzalez can somehow jumpstart Dan Uggla, get B.J. Upton going.
Get Hayward back on track.
Hayward was in center and in the leadoff spot tonight, was 0 for 4. The Braves didn't have a whole lot of luck against Marco Estrada, the starter for the Brewers, but neither Uggla nor B.J. Upton were in the lineup.
Chris Johnson 0 for 4, so he's at 327 now.
Yeah, but Elliott Johnson was 1 for 1.
So Michael Kadire. Let's see, the Rockies aren't in action tonight. Kadire had a 3-hit night the other night, so he's up to 334.
Did Kadire just have a shot?
Yeah, he had a cortisone shot in his wrist or thumb or hand in that area.
Deep to right, and that's going to get over the head of Ruff, who was playing shallow for Polanco. And Polanco says, "How dare you?" And drives a double over his head. Just the 12th double of the season.
Well, let's see what the Marlins can do with a leadoff double.
A leadoff anything hasn't really panned out tonight. And so you've got Echeverria, Mathis is on deck, and then obviously a pinch hitting spot.
No, there's one possibility, Rich. If Echeverria doesn't get the job done with Mathis on deck, who has struggled offensively, you've got extra catchers. You've got Brantley, you've got Coy Hill, you've got extra hitters. You've got Coughlin, Dobbs, Lomo, and there isn't a left-hander right now warming up in the bullpen, so you might get a matchup in your favor.
Yeah, you could fire 3 pretty good left-handed bats. Take your pick out of any of those 3. Dobbs would be obviously the more suited for pinch hitting, but Morrison and Coughlin could do the job as well.
So we'll see what unfolds.
Echeverria has swung the bat well tonight. He's doubled and singled.
Just as we say that, a lefty starts to loosen up in the Phillies bullpen. Cesar Jimenez.
to center. And it's caught by Hernandez.
We kind of miss our old friend Antonio Bastardo.
Yeah, we do. Well, Mathis is going to take the at bat. And Dobbs is on deck.
So the choice of Mike Redmond, Mathis with lefties available.
I would think if Red did pinch hit,
they could bring in Jimenez.
That Ruiz would go out and stall for a minute and a half, give Jimenez time to loosen up, and it would be Jimenez against Dobbs or Jimenez against Morrison. He's got the sweet Liberty Bell Sox going.
Yeah, they're stalling a little bit now. Sandberg looking at all the pitchers he's used in this one.
Who was the last Hall of Famer to manage? Was it Frank Robinson?
Frank Robinson would be my guess.
With the Nationals? Last Hall of Famer to manage a world championship team. That's a crack staff. And not a Hall of Fame manager that got in as a manager. I mean, a guy that was a Hall of Famer as a player.
You would say, okay, Tommy Lasorda. Well, he was not a Hall of Fame player. He became a Hall of Fame manager.
Runner goes. Ruiz double clutched. And Polanco swipes the bag.
Well, that's just a heads-up play on Polanco's part. He's not a base stealer at this point of his career, but he's a smart player. And he was checking on Rosenberg, who wasn't checking on him. Look at how he gets the walking lead. Never lets his feet come to a stop. Got a great lead and a great jump. And Ruiz not able to throw him out.
Now the infield creeps in. Mathis with a chance to drive in the second run of the night. Ruiz has to smother a breaking ball in the dirt.
But with the way this game has gone, can't imagine how huge that run is at third to get one more.
It's in, and so the Marlins get what they wanted. They get Dobbs up there with less than 2 outs and a runner at third base.
And here comes the stall to make sure Jimenez is ready.
And Ryan Sandberg waiting until every infielder has had their chance to talk to Rosenberg. It looks like he's going to stick with him.
I think Sandberg will create a different atmosphere in that clubhouse. A little different than with Charlie Manuel.
Dobbs is up. Interesting that they would have the lefty up.
Yes.
Heat him up.
And not make the move. Because he's ready. He's been throwing for a while. Dobbs on the year, 10 pinch hits.
One. Dobbs trying to elevate. 1-2.
Dobbs is a good guy to have in this situation, and it's why he's had success getting that runner in from third and less than 2 out. He doesn't roll over on pitches too often and hit balls on the ground.
There's Polanco. He opened with a double. Had a stolen base. Mathis worked a walk. B.J. Rosenberg. 1-2 pitch. And it's 2-2. Two coming. That breaking ball kind of hung up. 1-0 Miami on top in a ball game in which Nathan Eovaldi went 7 2/3 of scoreless. Mike Dunn got the last out. Steve Cishek is up and just watching and waiting in Miami's bullpen. Mike Redmond is hoping that the Marlins can add a run on a night where the Fish have stranded 10 and they've got 2 more out there with 1 out. Boy, that's a good take on a pitch that just dipped low. Well, kind of, sort of, maybe not.
Also, Rich, on a night where the Marlins have gone 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position and have stranded 10 men.
And Rosenberg loses Dobbs. Boy, really interesting sequence. Now Ryan Sandberg is off the bench and coming up the stairs. The lefty's ready. Sandberg.
I don't think he's going to make the move. I think he wants to talk things over with his battery and with some of his infielders. And do you realize this is how the game's so different nowadays? For Donovan Solano coming up right here, this is going to be the 5th different pitcher he's faced tonight in 5 ABs.
Well, of course, exacerbated by Roy Halladay's short start. He faced just 3 hitters. So Sandberg delivers his message to both Rosenberg and his infield. 2 walks in the inning, a double in the inning. And now Solano, the Marlins' best with runners in scoring position. And he takes a strike.
Look at that, 333 in these situations.
Phillies pitchers have walked 8 into center field. There's the base hit. Polanco scores. And it's 2-0. Hernandez was playing shallow, and he got to the ball quickly. Mathis was held at third.
Donovan Solano delivers again. Stays back, right back up the middle. Clutch hitting all year for Solano.
Solano delivers his 34th run driven in. Perry Hill and Solano talking it over. Dobbs is now at second. Mathis at third. And here's Ed Lucas. Well, maybe this is the big inning. Rosenberg has already thrown 29 pitches. Oh, 2. Mathis walked. Dobbs walked. Solano an RBI single. Marlins getting a hit with a runner in scoring position. Finally. 1 for 11.
1 for 11. Our crack staff chiming in with a couple of guesses on your question. Would Yogi Berra be a possibility?
You know, I thought Berra, did he win a World Championship as a manager? I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he did either.
Lucas, base hit right field. Ruff has it. Another run crosses. Dobbs held at third. Here comes Yelich. Bag still loaded. And finally the dam breaks and the Marlins get a couple hits with runners in scoring position.
By a couple of guys who really have a night. Look at how his hands come in on a pitch that's in because he's not trying to do a whole lot. Shoots the line drive out there for Ed Lucas. His second base hit of the night. A big one here. Just gives Steve Cishek, the bullpen, whoever comes in, a nice cushion.
And Ryan Sandberg has seen enough. Finally, he goes to get the lefty. Metro PCS call to the pen. Donovan Solano. Twitter poll. Jim Leland. It's unfair for American League teams to finish the season in a National League city. 50-50 on that one. The Twitterverse. He got up and he was ready to come in. Brian Sandberg stuck with the right hand of Rosenberg, and it didn't work out that well. The Marlins have pushed across 2 runs here in the 8th, and they're threatening for more.
Well, it's still just 1 out. A couple of hits tonight for Yelich.
Lefty on lefty action. Fastball misses in, and you've got Stanton waiting on deck. No one throwing in the Phillies pen. Cishek has been warming up for the last 45 minutes, it feels like. And he's got company in the Marlins pen just in case the fish blow it wide open. Breaking ball misses outside. Dan Jennings is up as well. We were trying to figure out if any Hall of Fame managers or Hall of Fame players won World Series as managers. Yogi Berra was one guess, but Berra lost the 73 World Series as a manager. Yelich smacks it to center, hits it well. Hernandez makes the catch. Another run comes home. Dobbs. 4-0.
Nice approach by the lefty, who has struggled against lefties since coming up, but a good job by Yelich on a ball that he stung to center field.
Yogi Berra also managed the 1964 New York Yankees, who lost to the Cardinals in the World Series in 7 games. Bob Gibson beat Mel Stottlemyre in Game 7, 7-5.
They probably both went complete games, too.
Gibson went the distance. Stottlemyre was relieved by Al Downing in the 5th. Gibson was the World Series MVP. Stanton takes in first and second. This is fun to watch. You get Stanton in a spot where it's unlikely Jimenez is pitching around him, although there is a bag open. It's third.
There's another right-handed hitter on deck, though, in Ruggiano. So let's see if he gets anything. 3-0, because you know he has the green light. And he got a changeup.
Yeah, he was essentially pitching around Stanton with third base open in an inning that's gotten away from the Phils.
So that's the 9th batter that the Philly pitching staff has walked.
Lou Boudreau. Our crack staff has lobbed that name out there. Hall of Fame player, World Series winning manager. Jim Holley, our Detroit expert, is going Mickey Cochran. Lou Boudreau was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 1970.
See, the difference is that Sandberg has already been inducted.
Yeah, it is, because Boudreau won a World Series as a manager of the '48 Cleveland Indians. He was a player manager. Pitch misses in. It's 2-2. Ruggiano walked with the bases loaded back in the 1st. Counts 2-2. Well, that one didn't quite get enough of the strike zone for Dale Scott. You can see Scott pointing inside to Jimenez. Here's a look. And it is in. Jimenez trying for a walk-off piece there. Full count, 2 outs. Everybody's running. Ruggiero left field and deep. Hernandez going to run it down in the gap. That would have scored 3. But the Marlins do add 3 of their own and lead it 4-0. Miami going with Steve Cishek to shut the door on the Phils to open up this 3-game series. And a 3-run inning in the 8th after a night of misses with runners in scoring position feels pretty good for the Fish.
Well, the Marlins trying to, as a pitching staff, toss their 12th shutout of the year. And also, if this game holds up this way, it'll be the 3rd consecutive game the Marlins have scored 4 runs. They scored 4 in each of the games of the doubleheader.
Cishek arrives at the point of Phillies lineup that has Chase Utley, Carlos Ruiz, and Dominic Brown. 4 runs, 9 hits for Miami. Phils without a run, they have 3 hits. If the Fish have still left 13 on base. And Cishek misses outside. Series continues tomorrow night with Shoja, Zach Minor, and Henderson Alvarez. The little red car went streaming by. Cole Hamels, Brad Hand on Wednesday night. Roy Halladay was scheduled to make a Saturday start, and I suspect that it isn't going to happen, having watched him labor through 3 hitters, walk 2, and not break 83 on the gun. Well, you know, oftentimes we go to our crack staff for answers. Tim McDermott, Marlins Live producer, just produced this nugget.
It's a great nugget.
Sandberg, only the 2nd man to begin his big league managerial career following his Hall of Fame induction as a player. Ted Williams, the first. '69. It didn't go too well for Williams, who managed the Senators, then moved to Texas for, I believe, a season. Three-two. Utley fouls it back. And you don't really, I mean, aside from Hall of Famers, you don't really find too many players of great stature as managers. The two that we noted on Marlins Live pregame, Don Mattingly, Kirk Gibson. Time called. Guys that have won some hardware in the game.
Yeah, it's tough because you need to have, number one, that desire to manage. You need to have that desire to spend a lot of time at the ballpark. And a lot of really successful players with the money that's out there nowadays can just kind of go off into the sunset and relax.
Utley swings and misses. Cishek gets a strikeout. AT&T Uverse. A little rewind action. Let's go back to Philly. Ah, yeah, that was the hops from Adeiny Echeverria. Echeverria had a great defensive series. In case you missed it, there was this.
Trust me, the Phillies didn't miss it. They were talking about it.
A lot of people were talking about it. That leaping catch made a lot of national shows. Polanco backs up, across the diamond, and just like that, 2 outs in the 9th inning.
And just one last thought on Ryne Sandberg. I think, to his credit, it shows you what he wants to do. He wants to manage. He managed 6 years in the minor leagues to get this opportunity. So it's a credit to him as a Hall of Famer to take on that job.
Oh, Etch got a wicked hop. And I don't know if it clipped him, got the heel of his glove, and kicked by him, but it was smoked by Dominic Brown.
Yeah, Brown hits this ball hard. Etch plants with that back foot so he can catch and then make a strong throw.
Well, on that view, you can really see the hop that came up and bit him. And it's going to be a base hit.
So only the 4th hit for the Phillies tonight.
Darren Ruff now is 1 for 3. On a hop, Solano to first. Ball game. Marlins win the opener against the Phils here in this 3-game set. And the Phillies all of a sudden have dropped 5 in a row. What a night for Nathan Eovaldi. 7 2/3 for the Alvin, Texas native. And he gets the win. He's now 4-6. Roy Halladay, the loss, he's 4-5.